as promised, I am here to get you started using an inkle loom, and today we're going to be making these little keychains. First thing you're going to need is your loom. That's going to run you about $130, I'm sorry to say. But then you will also need yarn. These are the two brands of yarn that I use. This one I can get at Michael's. It's the Omega Symphonia. It's a fingering weight cotton yarn, and then this I have to order online, the Sheepy's Katana. But I love the color selection in these two brands, and if it's not these two brands, I don't know the answer because I only use these when I'm weaving. You're also going to need a shuttle, which you can get on Amazon, and you're going to need just any crochet thread to make the heddles. For these keychains, you're going to need to make about 20 heddles. So you're going to take your cotton thread, and the way that you measure them is you're going to wrap around these two pegs here and up to this top one, and you're going to go left over right, and then you're going to go right over left, tie it down, cut the excess. That is the size that you need. You need 20. Open up your internet browser, go to Google and type in inkle loom pattern generator. This is what's going to pop up, and you're going to want to click the top option here. In order to design your pattern, you need to know how many threads you're going to use, and I can tell you from experience with the yarn that we're going to be using that we are going to be using 39 threads. So you're going to type that in here, 39, and hit begin. Now it's going to pull up this screen. I am going to be referencing this book. I use it all the time. You must get this ebook, In Celebration of Plain Weave by Annie McHale. You can get it off of Etsy. It is like the pattern Bible. I'm going to be using this neon yellow, blue, pink, and black, and referencing one of her patterns here, and I'm going to show you how to input this in the pattern generator so you know how to warp the loom. Alright, in the pattern generator, you're going to pick the color and start building your pattern. Okay, what this does, we have referred to this pattern here, and we are putting our colors here. This right here is going to tell you how to set up your loom. So we're going to, all the dots, every other one has a dot. The dots are heddles, the ones without dots are unheddled. So you're going to reference this chart when warping the loom, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. Alright, referencing our pattern down here, our guide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are black, and we're going to heddle 4 of them and alternating. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I take the tail of my yarn, I loosen up the tension rod, and then I attach the tail there to hold it in place while you warp it. So for a heddled, which is our first one, you're going to go from the tension rod, and you're going to go up like that, and you're just going to follow. You can make it longer or shorter. I'm going to go ahead. So like if I wanted it shorter, I could just skip this peg altogether, right? I could, if I wanted it like super short, I could just go like this. But I'm going to go ahead and do it long because I'll just make extra keychains and put in my Etsy store. So the longest you can make it on an inkle loom would be this path right here. And then we're back to the beginning. So before I go any further, you're going to take your heddles and you're going to put it on the bottom peg like that. It's really hard to do with one hand. You're going to go up and over and fold it back on that peg. So that is heddled. So we know that the next black is unheddled. So for the unheddled, instead of going up and over right here, you're going to go straight this way. This is not easy to do in a vertical format, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the black, warping my 7 warps. that was 2. The third one is going to be heddled, so we go up and over. I'm going to take my heddle, put it on that peg, go over that, and then loop it back on the same peg. And then our next one is unheddled. So it's just going to go, remember, heddled goes over, unheddled under. So that's 4. Our 5th one is heddled, so we're going to go up and over. And then our last one is heddled. There are several different ways to join yarn, but this is the way that I do it. This is also the way I do it when I'm crocheting. I'm sure there's a name for this knot, but I don't know what it is. But I'm going to take the new yarn and lay it over like that, and I'm going to tie a knot with the black yarn. And then I'm going to tie another knot around the black yarn. So when you pull, that's not going anywhere. And now we're going to continue warping. So for this one, we're just doing one unheddled blue. We gotta change colors again. I'm gonna cut the blue yarn, tie a knot with the blue around the black, and then tie a knot with the black around the blue. And then we're gonna do a black heddled warp. And then you're just going to keep repeating this process until you get all the heddled and unheddled onto the loom. Now that the warping is done, I'm going to take the last strand and I'm going to tie it to the first strand that I had tucked over here. Alright, this is what it looks like all warped up. And the next step will be to load the shuttle and start weaving. To load your shuttle, you're just going to make you a slip knot and slip it over a corner like that. And then you're just going to start winding the yarn. You can do it this way, or I tend to do a figure 8, either way you want to do it, but that's all there is to it to loading your shuttle. Now I'm going to loosen the tension rod just a little bit, and then this is your weaving space right here, so you're going to kind of rotate your work to make sure all the knots are past where you're going to be weaving, and then you pull this tension rod back as hard as you can and tighten it up. You want everything here to be super tight. So when you start weaving, this is what you're going to be manipulating here. So this would be the down shed. So you're going to pass the shuttle with the yarn or the weft through here. And then on the next pass, you're going to push this up to create the up shed. So you're just going pass down and then a pass through here, and that's all there is to it. Now when we warped this, we did 39 threads because we know that we want this to be about 1 inch. And so what you're going to do is you're going to place a popsicle stick, and then you're going to change the shed. So that was in the down shed, so now we're going to go to the up, and I'm going to put another popsicle stick, and you're going to kind of, this is called beading. it's not, you don't have to do like a beat. You can just kind of do like a little wiggle too. But these passes right here establish the width of the band. And I use a tape measure because I can't remember what I do with my little hem clip, and I don't have another one. So that's about the right width. And so we're going to change sheds again and start weaving. So I'm going to change sheds. I'm going to go down and I'm going to pass the shuttle, and this is where the beating comes in. As I said, you can beat or you can kind of wiggle. And for this first pass, you're going to leave a tail about 6-8 inches or so. And now we're going to change sheds and we're going to go up. You're going to take your shuttle. You kind of got to give it a little tug on these first passes. And because I want to secure the tail, I'm also going to take the tail and pass it back through the other way, and you're just going to do that for a couple of passes just so that tail is not at risk of unraveling. But the first couple passes are the most important because you're weaving in the end of the tail and you're also determining the width of the bands. Now we're going to change sheds. Beat, pull it through. I'm also going to pass the tail back one more time, and then after that it gets much less confusing. That tail has gone through a couple of passes already, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and now we're just going to stick to the plain weaving. So that was the down shed. We're going to go up, past the shuttle, and beat. Pull it through. I forgot to turn my camera on, but I just pulled the popsicle sticks out. But as your weaving progresses, this shed right here is going to get smaller and a little bit harder. So at that point, it's time to rotate the band. Sorry about that, but you just loosen the tension rod and then you advance the band like you see me doing here, and then you just tighten the tension rod back up and you're good to go. Tighten it back up, and you'll just continue on. These keychains I wove about 10 inches, and now that I'm to that point, it's time to end that strip. So to finish it off, what you're going to do is take a couple pieces of scrap yarn, and I do 2 passes where the shed is open, so you're passing through as normal, but you are also putting this loop here, and you're going to leave it there, and then you're going to change the shed and you're going to beat as normal, and you're going to pass through, and then you're going to take your other scrap of yarn and leave it there. You're going to change the shed one more time, beat. Now when you cut the tail, you're going to take this tail end, put it through the last loop here, and then you're going to pull it out the other side. So it's going to back weave it 2 passes so that there's no risk of this coming unraveled. Then you're going to do it one more time. Now you can cut that. So if you were going to be only making one, you could go ahead and cut here and go on to the next step. But I'm going to make some extra ones to put in my Etsy store. So I'm going to continue on, and then when I get done the full length of the band, then we'll cut it and I'll show you how to finish it. So this was my starting point, and as you can see, this is the only thing that's in between the start and the end. So I've woven multiple different bands right here. Now it's time to cut it from the loom and then cut it up into sections, and I have a couple things I wanted to point out. This was the one I started with, and if you pay close attention, you can kind of see the pink weft underneath. So I was not pulling this tight enough, which I corrected after this band. So you can kind of tell the difference here, or even here's another one I did with the pink weft. See how much cleaner the one on the left is. So this one, don't worry guys, I'm not going to put this one in my Etsy shop, but all the other ones will be on my Etsy shop. But the other thing I wanted to show you was the different effects you can get with the color of the weft. And the weft is the thread that you put on your shuttle. Most of the time you will see people use weft that is the same color as their outer color, which I did here to show you. But if you wanted a little pop of color, you can use a different color, and it creates this nice little dotted accent edge. Now I'm going to come in with some fabric glue. This does dry clear, and I put this on both ends just to make sure that nothing pops out. Now that the glue is dry, you're going to attach the hardware. You can get these on Amazon. I will have them linked in my Amazon storefront. But all you're going to do is fold it in half. And if you look in that hardware, it's got those barbs in it. So you're just going to insert this into the hardware, making sure to get up under those barbs. And then you're going to take this little tool that comes with it and just clamp it down. And there it is. I'll have everything I can linked in my Amazon storefront, and then I'm also going to put these for sale on my Etsy shop. So if you want a keychain wristlet that you don't make yourself, then I'm your girl.